And once again, Nicki Minaj is in the news for having issues with yet another person, except this time it's no stranger. It's her main rival, the one and only Cardi B. And if you know the history between both of them, it goes back about 7-8 years where Nicki was caught allegedly liking tweets talking bad about Cardi B's daughter, Culture. Cardi B found out, high heels were thrown, knots were made, people were crying on interviews nonstop for a week. I'm looking at you, Nicki Minaj. And they've had bad blood ever since then. You know, every now and then somebody would post a shady tweet, shady post about the other, but it never really got to the point where it's gotten, these past couple of days. So now Cardi B, she's released her sophomore album, Am I the Drama? How ironic, right? All the chaos that album has caused the past, week or so. And she released it, and, her fan base, they were really trying to, get the numbers up there. They were trying to make it number one. They were trying to repeat history from her first album, Invasion of Privacy. Nicki Minaj, all of a sudden, she went on a hiatus, allegedly hiatus, right? But secretly, she was in the bushes with her binoculars, just watching from a distance, like, I need to make sure that Cardi B's album doesn't, do good or compared to my albums. She was right there in the bushes, right? So were her fan bases. So then all of a sudden, Cardi B's numbers, they came out. She did get the #1 album of the week. Her numbers didn't quite meet Pink Friday 2 because that was, the competition, I guess. Pink Friday 2, I believe, did 228K in sales or something like that. And Am I the Drama did 200. So the difference was just a 28,000 difference. That's it. But according to the Barbs and Nicki Minaj's fan pages, you would have swore that they did like a 300 type of difference, but it was nothing. And realistically, who really even cares? Is the music good? That's the real question. It's just so sad the way music is consumed nowadays, especially from stan culture. It's just all about the numbers. Who's going to be #1? Who's going to be doing this? And who's going to be doing that? And it's just all about streaming. And again, is the music good? And honestly, I feel like, first of all, Am I the Drama was a solid album. It was a really good album. I enjoyed it. I like the beat. I thought it had a good, amount of songs that were good in general, right? As opposed to Pink Friday 2, that album was garbage. It was trash. Nothing. I mean, it was pretty sad, especially in Nicki's legacy. Comparing, I believe the last album was The Pink Print. That album was amazing. Every song, amazing. And then we go to Pink Friday 2, and this is what you give us? Her fan base, it's one thing being delusional because they have a list of things that they're delusional about, but I just wish that they were honest with themselves and they would just, just be real with Nicki and just tell her, like, look, the music is garbage. We deserve much more. You're just giving us scraps at this point, but, they'll just swallow anything that Nicki throws at them and they'll just lie to themselves and say, yeah, I really enjoy that new song on Pink Friday too. When realistically, they don't enjoy it. They don't think it's good. But, they're never going to, tell the enemy, which is Cardi B's fan base. They're never going to admit that to them because then they're going to have a one-up on them, right? They're just always going to want to get Nicki to #1. And again, the music is just always going to end up being garbage. At least that's what it's looking like. So as soon as the numbers came out, all of a sudden, Nicki came out of the shadows. And all of a sudden she started tweeting and reposting and, Pink Friday 2 still remains the top album. Nobody's beat the sales scores. Nobody beat the numbers, blah, blah, blah. Again, is the music good? No, it's not. So obviously she was being shady towards Cardi and, obviously the fan bases, they started getting involved. They started getting vicious. Next thing you know, Nicki started... she started testing the water. She started being a little bit more obvious with her posting. Like, okay, I'm posting about Cardi B, but subliminally, right? Eventually, I forgot what was the tweet that finally just took it over the edge, right? And she just started, posting a bunch of, things about Cardi B. At one point, she started calling her Barney B. And, she started posting the whole A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And she was just so childish with her posting, because it was a play on one of Cardi B's hit songs where her lyrics were like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, these bitches can't fuck with me. And I think that Cardi B was just being playful with those lyrics because everybody always says, oh, Cardi B, she's an ABC rapper. She doesn't really know how to rap. So I feel like she was just trying to be funny. Unless, Cardi, you were really trying to be serious with those lyrics. Then if you were, then yeah, you need to do something about that because what is that? But I think she was just poking fun at everybody who was making fun of her. So Nicki started tweeting A, B, C, D, E, F, G, your heavy tongue can F with me. She just kept, just being so corny on Twitter. But she kept deleting these tweets, right? So eventually Cardi finally responded, and neither one of them kept adding each other. I think both of them have each other blocked, but they kept seeing each other's posts. So then Cardi, I believe she posted something like, I wish I had the screenshot. I should have pulled up the screenshots. Oops. I am not doing my journalism correctly here, but Cardi B, she had posted something about Nicki, like, oh, she was just waiting for my stats. She was just waiting for my numbers, huh? Like, I really do have that much power over this lady, and clearly you do. And it's just so sad, Nicki, that, not only does she obviously fall out with every female rapper, but what is it about Cardi B that really gets underneath your skin? What is it? Is it the fact that everybody loves her regardless whether her music is garbage or not? Is it the fact that she's the only female rapper who's right there neck and neck with your numbers? Because again, the difference was only a 28K difference. It's not like it was like a millions or anything like that. And the only reason why you even got, 228 to begin with is because your psychotic fan base just constantly overstream these, your music, but they're not really listening. They're just streaming and streaming and streaming because they want you to be number one, because they're just so blinded by this parasocial loyalty that they have towards you that you could literally put out a whole album of you just farting and burping for like an hour or two, and they'll just still run up the numbers just to keep you at number one, just because they want to prove something to the other fan bases. But again, is the music good? That's what it really boils down to. So I believe that this was day one of their issue, right? But then things started getting a little ugly on day 2, day 3, and then the kids started getting involved because Nicki started this first with the children, involving the kids, because she started talking about Cardi B's pregnancy. Because Cardi B, she announced recently that she's also pregnant with her 4th child by football player Stephon Diggs. And Nicki started again posting and deleting like, oh, well, you got pregnant by, undercover man, because apparently the rumors and allegations allegedly that Stephon Diggs is gay and blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And, it's just so interesting the way, not only Nicki, but both of them, honestly, how both of them talk about this specific subject. Because Cardi B, you did have a questionable lyric in your song where she was going at it with JT, another rapper and another soldier of Nicki Minaj, where she was just like, yeah, my man cheats, but at least he's not sticking a dildo up his ass or something like that. And I'm like, okay, are we supposed to be proud of that? Like, okay, but again, what is wrong with that? Realistically, either side aside. When you put both stand culture aside, what's wrong with that? And then Nicki Minaj, all your fan bases, is predominantly, LGBTQ identified. So the fact that you're using this as I'm going to get a low blow on you by throwing that in your face, what are you really trying to say? It's just so interesting how both of them continue sprinkling their little, homophobia here and there in their music, but Nicki is just so obvious with it, right? So she continued taking a dig at her pregnancy, like, oh, she gets pregnant by anybody, or, has no numbers and she's a flop. And she started calling her Barney B. I'm assuming because, Barney, ABCs, and, that's what she considers her. And it just got real ugly when she started involving her daughter, Culture. She started making fun of her and calling her these I'm not going to repeat what she posted, but if you know, you know. She was just posting a bunch of nasty, disgusting things about her. And I'm like, Nicki, part of me wants to say, I'm surprised, but it's not. I'm not, because Nicki has taken it like this low with other female rappers, with other celebrities, with everybody basically in the world. But it's just, what's going on here, right? And I'm just looking at these tweets like, I started questioning, because all of a sudden she started mentioning God. And, it kills me when people mention God and all of a sudden they're just, spilling out all these evil things out of their mouth. And, again, people just want to hide behind that, like, oh no, I'm holier than thou. But yet, what are you saying about your Cardi B's daughter, Culture? And again, Cardi B never mentioned anything about her son at all, because Nicki has a son, Papa Bear. And she just kept going on about, I'm a prophet and God this and God doesn't like ugly and God this. And it's just so insane. And God is looking down at her like, now why am I in it? Like, no, I'm up here streaming Am I the Drama? Don't put me in your BS. God is up there, streaming Magnet, and he's not a fan of JT, but it just kills me how every tweet, it was just about God this and God that. And there was a tweet I think it was on the fourth or fifth day where Nicki had one of her crazy fan pages had tweeted her a little necklace or whatever, and it was like a like teeth or something like that, with the gum showing, and Nicki had reposted it, and obviously she was taking a dig at Culture again, Cardi B's daughter, because of her gums and how it looks, and it was just so disgusting. And I'm like, Nicki, like you have really, really fallen from your throne. Like I say it all the time when I talk about this lady. I used to be such a hardcore fan of Nicki Minaj. Like everywhere she went, everything she did, I was right there front and center watching everything. I knew all her lyrics, all her songs, everything. I knew what she was doing before she even did it. And over these last couple of years, it's just been so sad to see what she's become. And at this point, because the allegations is that allegedly, supposedly, according to Cardi, because now Cardi, she called her, cocaine Barbie. And that's always been the thing that, oh, Nicki's on this and Nicki's on that. But honestly, I don't, there could be some truth to it, but I just feel like there's something going on mentally with Nicki that's not all there in the head, all there in the brain. And it's okay to get help, Nicki. It's okay to go out. I'm pretty sure you have the sources for it. You have the money for it. You have everything in your power to get the top help for your mental health. And I'm just not sure why she's not doing it. You know why? Because she's surrounded by a lot of terrible people who are just there to just bow down to her. They're not there to like tell Nicki like, hey Nicki, this is wrong. And on top of that, all she talks about is her husband, Zoo, or Kenneth Petty, aka Zoo. And it's just so annoying every time she tweets about him, like, oh yeah, Zoo this and Zoo that. And like, are we supposed to know who that is? Like she throws his name out as if we're like related to him. Like, okay, like that's my cousin Zoo. Like, okay. And she's so proud of this man. And, if you know that he's on the, registry, that list, the offender list. And it's just so sad. And I really do feel like her downfall started when she got with him. Like you're Nicki Minaj. You could have gotten with anybody, any man or woman, whatever you're into. And yet you choose to get with Kenneth Petty. And now he's going to be the downfall of you. Well, you're your own downfall. But not only that, your fan page, your husband, but mostly your fans and their fan pages are gonna be the downfall of Nicki Minaj. Because they continue just feeding into this narrative. They just want her to really take it there. Like, oh, she's taking it to hell, she's taking it there, and Cardi B started with her first, she started mentioning her son, and it's just so crazy. Again, her fans are so delusional, and they're just in a whole different cult mentality to the point where they genuinely believe whatever they're throwing out there. You could tweet them back like, oh no, there's facts. There's A, B, and C. Look, I have the receipts. Here's the proof. And they're going to be like, nope, that's all AI generated. I don't know what you're talking about. Like they choose to believe anything that Nicki says. Like if Nicki tweets, the sky is going to be green today, they're going to tweet out, oh yes, queen, yes, hashtag the sky is green. Oh, I definitely see it. Like, yeah, the sky is green. Like, and that's sad to me. That's pretty scary, the connection that they have. And, they really need to be honest with that, with themselves first. And they need to be honest with their queen and tell her like, hey, you need to get help. Like, what is going on here? And so Nicki continues going on and on. Cardi then starts mentioning Nicki's son, which I think, honestly, both of them are disgusting for the things that they said about each other's children. Like, yeah, Nicki started it. But Cardi, I don't even want to say, like, oh, well, if you take it there with me, then I'm going to take it there with you as well. But, like, I don't know. She started saying that her son was nonverbal and this, that, and the third. And just her wording about it was just very stupid the way Cardi said it. Like, oh, this is your karma. And, because you're so hateful and you're full of evil and this, that, and the third. This is what life gives you. This is what God gave you. A son who doesn't speak or communicate or special needs, basically. And I'm like, so how do you think that your fan base, Cardi B, that has children or know of somebody who with special needs or who are in the same similar situation as Nicki Minaj's son, how do you think they feel supporting you, yet you're using it as it's karma? Like, that's not how karma works. I honestly don't even believe in karma, to be honest with you, because if that was true or if it was real, a couple of people in higher power, they would have had their karma a long time ago. But yeah, here they are just running the country into flames. But that's besides the point. So I just thought it was pretty disgusting the way she was going about doing that. And again, it doesn't excuse any of Nicki's behavior because she started it with her disgusting words and her disgusting tweets. But Cardi, I mean, come on, like, and Cardi B is just so emotionally reactive that when Nicki takes it there, Cardi B is the only one who's really gonna match it with her. She's only gonna match her energy nonstop, and it's just been going like that like these past couple of days. And Cardi finally, she put the nail in the coffin, like, you know what? This is gonna be my last tweet. It was in fact not her last tweet. She was just like, you need to go get help. I'm not tweeting you. I have endorsements. I have things to lose. And, she called her son Papa Perk, which I thought, well, again, I don't know if she was trying to be, catchy with it, because she calls her Papa Bear, but Pop a Perk. You get it? Like, I thought I was catchy. Anyways, but, and I just don't like the way she was going on about that. And Nicki, she put out some, half-assed apology of, oh, dear culture, I'm sorry for, making fun of your gums. You're going to grow into it. It was like a backhanded apology. It wasn't even an apology, in my opinion. But, again, her fan base, they took that and they ran with it. And now they're all over on Twitter saying, see, Cardi B, I can't believe this. She actually apologized to you. She was woman enough to do that. Yet you want to take it there and you want to, say Papa Perk. And I'm like, are we not seeing everything? Like, you can't just tweet everything about that and then just expect somebody to just accept your apology. It doesn't even work. It doesn't work like that. Nicki could have saved that. And I wonder if anybody behind the scenes told her, like, yeah, you need to apologize for that because you took it way too far. You can't just say, you can't make fun of somebody's kids and, call them all types of this, that, and the third and blah, 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 and make fun of their appearances. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Cardi B, I know these are your kids, but sorry. It doesn't work like that. And again, the things that she says are just very disgusting and very hypocritical too, because then she started tweeting, people want to come, at me because I'm this and I'm that and blah, blah, blah. And it's just not fair. And, and again, it's just so hypocritical how Nicki throws something out. But then once people are like, wait, but you said this in the past. Oh, no, I didn't. We're just going to excuse that. We're going to ignore that and X, Y, and Z. And again, Nicki picks and chooses when she wants to be an advocate of certain topics, right? If you know, you know. But yeah, I'm disappointed in both of them. Cardi B, if I was you, I would just stop tweeting. I get it. She wants to, really match Nicki Minaj's energy, but you're pregnant. And I think she's like 6-7 months pregnant, and you really don't need these type of complications or emotional stress. Because at the same time, I'm just looking at this, I'm like, Nicki, like, she's pregnant and she keeps tweeting, oh, well, I'm in New York right now. Pull up. Like, I know you're scared and all this and all that. And Cardi, she's not scared of anybody. She will pull up to anybody. She threw a shoe at you. But you are pregnant. And the fact that Cardi is tweeting, oh, give me your address. I want to show up. And it's just like, no. Like, first of all, Nicki, it's pretty pathetic that you want to fight a pregnant woman. And two, I don't think that you really have it in you, Miss Chun-Li, the Street Fighter. I don't really think you have it in you to really fight Cardi B, even if she wasn't pregnant, because you had the opportunity then and there, 6 years ago. And what were you doing? I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm not moving. I'm right here. While Cardi B was, she threw a shoe at you and she was trying to get at you. You had the chance then and there, but what? So you don't live your lyrics? Your lyrics are just fantasy? Are those also ABC lyrics? Like, so it's pretty disappointing. Then she started involving Beyonce. And now Cardi B is one thing, but then when you add the queen, that's a whole different issue. Now you're making this whole thing into a whole different thing because she continues going on and on about Jay-Z and Desiree Perez and X, Y, and Z. And she keeps calling Jay-Z a bunch of names too and making fun of his appearance. And again, disclosure, I don't give a fuck about Jay-Z. Beyonce, that's the queen. Jay-Z, I don't care about him. But still, like Nicki, the things that she says about him is just, I don't agree with at all. You could say a lot of things about him, but you don't have to make fun of his appearance, right? And that goes for anybody. That's just a low thing that you could say about anybody. That's an easy thing you could pick on with people. But she continues going on with that, and now she's accusing Jay-Z and Beyonce of copying picture posing, like poses that her and Zoo, aka Kenneth Petty, aka that man who's on that list, she was just like, well, I noticed that they started copying me ever since I seen pictures of them in their poses. And just because Jay-Z was hiding behind Beyonce in one photo, it was a cute little picture. And then they put the side by side, she reposted it. And she was like, yeah, there's many pictures like this of both of them trying to copy us. And I'm like, But in what world? That doesn't even sound right. Like, the more I say it out loud now, it doesn't even sound right. Like, Beyonce and Jay-Z copying Nicki Minaj and Kenneth Petty. Like, that doesn't even sound right. It should honestly be illegal to say that. Like, imagine Beyonce and Jay-Z really just sitting down and just thinking like, oh, we're gonna copy Nicki Minaj and her, creepy ass, disgusting ass husband, and we're gonna copy their picture poses. Like, what? Like, and her fans continue being delusional. Oh no, Nicki doesn't have an issue with Beyonce. They're still good. They're still good. I promise you they're not good. I'm pretty sure that Beyonce is on one of her fake Twitter accounts just tweeting like, yeah, my relationship with this Barbie lady is done. And I'm just waiting for the day that Jay-Z actually puts out a cease and desist or something, and I don't know what that's about. Nicki keeps going on and on that he owes her this, he owes her that, but she's not doing anything about it. All she continues doing is just posting tweets and stuff. And what is that gonna get you? Like, what? You're just gonna rile up your psychotic fan base even more, and they're just gonna continue agreeing with the bullshit that you continue posting and saying. And now she keeps going on that she's a prophet, and her son is a prophet too, and she's predicting the future, and she's God this and God that. And I wish I could understand her from a mental point of view. Like, where is this coming from? Or like, do you really believe all of this? Like, mind you, all of this started on her son's birthday. That is just so sad. Papa Bear is over there just waiting for his gifts, and he probably just wants, some vanilla ice cream or whatever, and you're just over here tweeting up a storm about somebody else's child. And somebody's unborn child at that too. Like, just pathetic Nicki Minaj. I don't think there really is any coming back from this. She announced that she's having an album. Her next album allegedly is going to drop in March of next year. She announced it somewhere halfway after Cardi B's album came out. And again, another thing to try to be spiteful about. And again, why do you hold such hate for Cardi B? Like, why do you see her as such big competition? Like, if your fan base and if you think that she's such a flop, but why do you continue feeding into her attention? Why do you continue, tweeting out her lyrics, and why do you know the song so much? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You continue going on and on. So obviously you were streaming the album as well. So I don't know. And this whole situation, neither one of them really won because both of them took some nasty blows at each other. Cardi B, I don't agree with what she was saying about her son. Nicki Minaj, I definitely don't agree with what she was saying about her daughters and her son and, her her unborn child, and Stephon Diggs, and and then JT. And with that being said, let me know what you all thought about this whole situation between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. Whose side are you on? Are you a barb? And please let me know if you are, so I can block you. And and let me know what you all think, if there's any solution or any type of forgiveness between both of them in the future. I don't see it, but maybe you do. Let me know down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.